My father is a native doctor. He's not just a native doctor, he served the shrine of Owa people. They call it Nginowa in Arondizo. He's a very popular native doctor. I have a lot of pastors who come to my father for jazz. That's why when I see some of the things that they are doing, all these charlatans, some of the things that they are doing, it breaks my heart, because they are never concerned about the masses or about the sheep. Their own concern is how to exploit the sheep for their own benefit. They just want to be successful. For the fact that you are demonstrating power, you are seeing vision, does not mean that you are at peace with God. So because of the experience I had growing up, I knew that for me to easily believe pastors,
it was difficult.
It was difficult. There was a time I was to be initiated into Ogboni confraternity. When it has to do with the devil, he never gives you anything for free. So there has to be something that is attached to it. I saw my dad, doing stopping rain and making rain fall. I just started doing it myself,
without anybody teaching you.
Yeah, I just see him doing that. I started doing it. Sometimes he will now leave the job for me. People didn't even know that I'm the one doing that for him. The thing is, my father married a total of 5 wives.
Wow.
I hate polygamy, not because of the Bible stand on it, but because of the experience that I went through.
Yeah.
Coming from a polygamous home. I became a cultist, as a matter of fact, because of this polygamy thing. I went into cultism because there was no love in my family. I was thinking that the love, I'm going to get it out there. There was no love in my family.
Welcome, Mr. David Okeke.
Thank you very much.
Okay, why have you decided to come out to share your story? Because when I was reading through, I discovered that your biography, you've been someone that want to transform lives. I believe so. We live in a society where we have so many unanswered questions. People are asking questions and it seems nobody is ready to answer it. Why have you decided to come on air to share your story?
All right, thank you very much. To me, I see my life as the answer to a whole lot of things that is happening in the society. Looking around, the deception that is happening in the society, looking at the experiences that I've been through, what God has taught me through experience, through life. And I think that my story will bring liberation to people, to bring, to open the eyes of people, and then it will shed light in where darkness is. So I just see it as a legacy, something I want to do while on earth, to share my story, to tell people, to open the eyes of people, and to shed light in some of the superstitions and some of the things that we've believed over time that's become a kind of a thing of bondage to us. So this is my inspiration around this.
Okay. I also learned that you are the child of a native doctor.
Yeah.
You hardly see anyone that can boldly come and tell you that I am a traditional worshipper or my parents serve this. And it's not just you knowing about it. You are kind of very invested.
It's even popular right now. What you are saying right now was before. Right now, people go on social media, they announce it. So it's not something that they hide anymore. It's not something they hide anymore. It's very popular on social media. They have many of them who are on social media who, you have people like Akwoko Tiwarake, you have people like AKE. They go on podcasts these days, talking about their spirituality and all that. So people, they are very proud of it. So it's not...
Okay, maybe I'm the one that hasn't heard it that way.
Yeah.
So how was it like for you?
Okay, the truth about the matter is that, I was going through a scripture, Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. He said before, God was talking to Jeremiah, he said, before you were born, before I formed you in the belly, he said, I knew you. Before, you were born, he said, I ordained you, I sanctify you and ordained you a prophet unto the nation. I believe in predestination. And the reason for that is not just because of theories, because of my life experience, looking around. There are some things you can't deny, especially when things happen to you. And these are verifiable facts. So I believe in predestination. And I believe that the reason why God sent me on earth, the reason why I'm alive today, the reason why I am here today on earth is for that purpose. You see, the background and where God brought me out gave me the foundation or built me into a man I am today. If I didn't experience that, I would see life in a different way. There are people who are not seeing life the way I do because of they didn't have the opportunity to experience what I experienced. So I see it as it's God's way of I would have been giving birth, he would have given birth to me in any way, apart from where I'm from. So I see it as it's a plan of God. It's all is in the plan of God. Now my father is a native doctor. He's not just a native doctor, he served the shrine of Owa people in Arondizog. Owa in Guinea. They call it in Guinea Owa in Arondizog. He's a very popular native doctor. There is nobody that is from Arondizog that is, that you ask Genoa. You might not see him, you might not have seen him, physically, but you hear his name. So I'm his first son. When you are coming into Arondizog, and the oracle is at the entrance of the Arondizog. There is a particular market we call Ike Market. So that's where the oracle is. He's a very popular person. And if you know the person they call Perikom or Koye,
no, that is a very popular. Was a popular native doctor then.
Yeah, he's late now.
Yeah.
So there was a time he sang a song. The title of the song is Ndokako. The song is on Spotify and all that. Ndokako, Ordina. Ndokako is a title. Ordinana something, Ordinana Dembo. So he dedicated my father's shrine.
Wow.
To that song. He started from Irutero n'izuogo na iheme na ekendi izuogo. O nwere arụsị a na-akpọ nke n'ọwa. Ohu mmụọ na nnụ mmụọ nọ n'ime ya. Kama aga m akpọ ha aha n'otu n'otu. This is Igbo language.
Iyanno. Ihe a na-ede nnene na anya na-akwụ. O ji emerụ ndị mba dị iche iche. Ha nwere omenala dị iche iche na arụsị dị iche iche. Irutero n'izuogo na iheme na ekendi izuogo. O nwere arụsị a na-akpọ nke n'ọwa. Ohu mmụọ na nnụ mmụọ nọ n'ime ya. Mana ejeghị m akpọ ha aha n'otu n'otu.
So he was talking about the numerous spirits that is in that shrine and that he's not going to mention them one by one. He was not just speaking, he has been there. He's somebody that he was my father's friend before he was late and all that. So this is the family that I came from. There is a popular Ikeji festival that happens in Arondizo every year. Before the Ikeji festival, my father is the person that will host what we call a Kodi Ikeji. These are moments where people come to my house, the villagers come to my house, and then follow him. A night before the Kodi Ikeji, you see people all over the place in my house and all that. They will follow him to the shrine where he will go and do sacrifices to the Ngene shrine. Ngene is the water spirit. The shrine came from water. So where he will go and sacrifice those things with people going with him and all that. Before the following day will be the Ikeji proper. We call it Oye Obubu. So this is something he has been doing before I was born. He started serving because the shrine chose him. So yeah, it's not that he didn't. The other people have been serving the shrine before it got to his turn. And I happen to be his first son.
I am a very inquisitive person. I would love to know because we hear stories that we the Igbos came from. We used to serve Juju, Amadioha, and every other thing. So we are not really familiar into the traditional way of worship because majority of us were born into Christian homes. So really do not really know if our traditional way of worship was actually very diabolical or if it was evil. You get, but you are here, at least you had
Yeah, we're going to unpack that.
So I'm going to be asking.
Okay.
Are you still worshipping? Are you still in that traditional as in side of religion?
That's the reason I wanted to talk about my where the transformation and where I am right now. And I mentioned my dad. My dad got married to my mom.
Okay.
And, I talked about predestination and all that. So I was part of that. When I said I was, that means I am no longer there.
Okay.
But I was fully involved. My dad married my mom. My mom, the father is who they call Ozim in Arondizog. Ozim he brought cherubim to, that's a white garment church, in where they call the Amazon in Arondizog. He's the owner of the white garment church in my town. So my dad went to marry the daughter of the Ozim. He likes, spiritual things a lot. So he went to married my mom, and so when my mom was pregnant, from the story I was told, she had a miscarriage. So they thought that the child she was bleeding for 1 week. So they thought that she thought that the child was, that's a miscarriage and all that. So after a month, my grandmom, who is the mom to the mother of my dad, took her to a particular place, a particular native place, and then the woman there told her that the child is still there, that the only thing is that she's not going to give birth in 9 months. So my mom actually, she gave birth to me at the 11th month, so but when she came back after that incident and all that, so she started having series of attacks. So she went to a church, she moved into a church. She was practically living in a church while she was pregnant. So she moved into a church called Show the Light of God Mission. So the pastor of the church is still alive. His name is Bro Christian Ohazrume in Arondizog. So she moved into a church, and so one day the man of God gave a prophecy about that my mom is going to give birth to a son, and then that his name is going to be called Sobrichi. Sobrichi means respect God. That's when they give birth to me, that I'm not going to be alive. So, and that he's going to be a great prophet. He's going to be a man of God. And this was not DNA or trying to know the gender of your child and all that. He said he's going to be a boy, and his name is going to be called Sobrichi, and he's going to be a great prophet, and that he's not going to be alive. But they should not say, let's go and bury him, for he's dead. That if they pray, that God will bring me back to life. There are some things you hear and it sounds too good to be true.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, this is one of it, because when I heard that, I have to I've heard that story. I have to do investigation. I have to personally pay a visit to the man of God himself, to also hear that from him, to confirm the story. My mom was in the hospital and all that. She was in labor for 3 days. According to what I was told, they said cord tied all over my body, so it was when they now started cutting the cord. That was when I came out and all that. So when I came out, I wasn't crying, I wasn't breathing. So the same thing that the man of God talked about.
Actually prophesied.
Yeah, and that was exactly what happened.
When did you after 2 months, when miscarriage? So everybody, chama the baby upon. After 1 week, your grandmother Ghana care one woman. So the woman check it out. So send the baby up. Before then, the hospital confirm one that the baby upon. But the woman send the baby can. So after 1 month, the baby went to take a sign. Na home. Bega hospital. So in the hospital say that the baby can. But now nga muzi na 9 months. Oga gafesi 9 months. So mwenji wa mkwana yawo mwenji wa muzego 11 months instead of 9 months. When your grandmother go one church like that, I will show the light of God. So I kind of worship by that time. So you remember the Miraculous, because by then the man of God I may travel every Monday, not like Friday. So yeah, got my that number imagine no gane and number mo the baby na the baby I get back and everybody get na the baby and one na the baby and up that na up the baby na me grow the baby better na God will restore the baby back. And before then when I'm the baby and that baby got a great child and now I got a preach. Oga, a way man of God. So, the man of God, when
for me, I talked about predestination, so God is so mindful of me that He knew the story. He knew how I'm going to. He's so mindful of me that, I have to come through that way.
Yeah.
So me, and it happens to be that my dad is a native doctor while this thing was happening. I was born into that family and this was what I know, and my mom left when I was very young. They had issue and all that. They left, so I grew up with my dad. I'm his first son. I actually look like him. I'm just a young version of my father.
From the story you just said, you said your mom was actually born into a Christian home.
Yeah.
She
not really a white garment church.
Okay, they still practice Christianity. You can call that a denomination in Christendom. And how did your dad feel? Because we hear stories of strict parents, of especially these people that worship, or you worship in a particular way, and they'll tell you, okay, because this is what I worship, this is what I believe, don't take my child to this place.
The thing that was happening was beyond his control.
Okay.
So she was having a series of she was having series of you're not going to allow your wife to die.
Yes, if there is a solution there, why not?
So why not? So he was just open to that and all that. So that was what actually happened.
Okay, would you like to share about your mom?
So when they gave birth to me, I started growing up. The reason them separating, that was I remember when one of my junior brother was sick. That was she had me, my junior sister, and the last born, a boy. So the guy was sick, and she was telling my dad to.
Okay, she had 3 children for your dad.
Yeah, for my dad. So she was telling my dad for them to take him to the hospital, and and he didn't do that. I still remember that very well. I think he was busy with other things, so he died. So she was very, it affected her so much, and then she told my dad that she wants to go back to her parents' house, that my dad should take her home. So I remember the day my dad drove her, back, and that was the separation. That was that, and they separated. And so me, I said, I was very young. My junior sister was very young, so I actually grew up without her. So my dad remarried.
Okay, after your father remarried, how was it for you? Because we hear stories of stepmothers and everything. Was it smooth? Was it?
That was an experience that whenever I remember that, I actually don't wish that for anybody, to be honest with you. I was talking to somebody one time. I said that try as much as possible to build your family where you have one wife. There are some decisions that we take. It might be convenient for us, but what about our children?
Kids, yeah.
So I hate polygamous home, not because of the Bible stand on it, but because of the experience that I went through.
Yeah.
Coming from a polygamous home. The experience, it's the environment is too toxic. And I don't wish that for anybody. So growing up wasn't easy, growing up without the love of your mother, I grew up without having someone call me son for once. I grew up without that feeling of
having a mother,
motherly love. There are people who don't have mother, but they experience
love, motherly love.
Yeah, so I didn't know how it feels. I didn't know what it is. So, and most times I was talking to myself one time. I said, I don't like to blame people that much because people only give what they have.
Yes.
So, if you have love, you give love. So it might be that my stepmother, she didn't have enough of that, but the experience was very bad. There are some times I will have to, because of a lie that was told against me, my father will want to, I will leave the house at night. I'll be hanging around. Sometimes I will be out of the house for 3 days. Sometimes I'll go to my maternal home. I will run out of the house. And so it wasn't really easy moment for me.
Okay. I love the fact that you mentioned polygamy. I don't know if your father had other wives aside the other woman he married. Did he have other wives aside?
Yeah. The thing is, my father married a total of 5 wives.
Wow. I live in a society where people are beginning to go back to their roots. And I see it that you made mention of you don't like polygamy. I was discussing with a friend. I said, if you've never felt a thing, you will never know how it is. You see lots of children that are actually from a polygamous home. They will tell you, I hate it. But you see children that have never, maybe their father married just their mother, and they'll open their mouth and say, I would love to have 2 wives. I would love to have 3 wives. Our forefathers did it. There is nothing wrong. But he made a very valid point.
Yeah.
Most of the things we do, we are just thinking only of ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't think about the children or on like how it affects them. And now you're telling us that you personally, you don't like the idea, even if
it has nothing to do with Christianity.
Yeah, it has something that you do because it will really affect
because
your children.
If you love your children,
yes,
you won't have 2 wives.
Yes, exactly.
There is no way you want to say it. There is this competition. There is this environment of you want to be better. My child will want to be better. I became a cultist, as a matter of fact, because of this polygamy thing. So me coming into, because looking back, you can see people that are misbehaving in the society, but you don't even know why this whole thing came about. If we don't have healthy homes, we'll bring unhealthy children.
Yeah, family is the smallest unit of the society.
So I went into cultism because there was no love in my family. I was thinking that the love, I'm going to get it out there. There was no love in my family. I joined cultism when I was in JS3 as a young age at secondary school. I had friends around. They will give you that feeling of brotherhood, being. So what you are meant to feel at home, you are having that experience out there. I went to primary school. I finished primary school. I went to secondary school. There was never a day my parents visited for PTA meeting to represent me. There was nothing like that. So they were too busy for you, or I don't know, maybe I don't know how to say it. So, and this is one of the things I won't want to pass on to my children. Because if you're not healed, I'm healed. That's why I'm telling my story.
Yeah. And I really, I really commend you for doing this. Most of the times we hear stories of cases of high rate of divorce these days, and you hear stories of, if it's not good, please leave. You see the reasons why most of our mothers, we want to stay. Because they feel like, if I leave this marriage, my children will go through a lot. Yeah. They don't care if they eventually die, but they will want to stay, take all the pain because of their children. Especially, probably your mom was, should I say, she had a maternity leave to leave because she's from a well-to-do family or thereabout, but not everyone. That's why it's easy. Talk, they say, is cheap. When it's not your problem, you have all the solutions in the world. People tell mothers, leave, and all of that. Most of them do not want to leave because of their children. Not that they just love to be in a toxic relationship. So I think this is one of the reasons why they want to stay in their marriage.
Many of these experiences that I went through growing up shaped me into who I am today. People say that I'm fearless. So that built me. I call it what my pain taught me. Looking at the man I am today, sometimes I think, what if I grew up with my mom? Would I be able to, know what I know today? Have the level of wisdom that I have today? Looking back, I could say that my pain taught me a lot. I know I was going through emotional separation. A lot of things was happening, but it built me into who I am today. And looking back, I'm very grateful to God about that. Those pain could have broken me, but I've learned to endure pain without losing myself. I've come to discover that strength is not the absence of struggle. It's the ability for you to rise, even in the presence of, those difficulties and those challenges and all that. Another thing my pain taught me is what I call discernment and wisdom. And I see people for who they are.
The ability to discern is a very strong gift.
Yeah, I see people for who they are, and I've come to know that not everybody who laughs at me has good intention with me. I pay attention to details, and there are people who are my friends today, and I see beyond them, because of that experience that I went through. So it taught me my discernment level is in a very high frequency. The last thing I will say that my pain taught me is what I call independence and self-reliance. I'm not someone who is looking for approval from people. I'm someone who has my own thoughts. I'm an opinion leader, and I'm a man of conviction. If I stand by something, I stand by it, irrespective of who is against it. So it made me to be independent. It built me into a man who is an independent person.
Okay, with all your experiences, with the things you were doing, searching for power and everything, did you ever find that power you were looking for, like that, should I say, that conviction of, okay, I've arrived with this thing, I think I can now start using this past to my favor? Were you ever happy with your life, with everything you're doing?
I think that thing I was exposing myself brought me into what I call a predicament, life predicament that's, and turned me who I am today. Maybe because of the way I was exposing myself to powers, wanting to acquire powers and all that. So it I started having series of experiences, that led me into going to visiting different native doctors because I wanted to know what the issue is. It started from, as a student at Unizik, I had a KK, people were riding KK for me. And then I had a barbering salon called Home Touch. Okay. So as a student, I was seeing money. I met a guy who he was looking for a house. His name is Williams Chuba. Okay. He's from Ebenebe in Anambra State. So he came back from Portugal. He was looking for a house. We helped him to get a house at GRA there in Oka and all that. So we became friends. So the day I opened my barbering salon, he actually was there. He gave me a check of 200,000 naira. And anyway, the check, he said I will cash the check later. Okay. That he was expecting money and all that. So, he did some things that I was like, this guy cared, for me. Because to him, he was like, for him to see a student who is, actually schooling and has a business and all that. So he introduced me to his family, his wife and all that. So we were like friends. There are sometimes, I go to his house to, sleep in his house. He comes to my house and all that. So I had a girl I was dating then. We actually, sometimes me and her would go to this guy's house. Okay. So it started from the experience I was having when this guy came and said that he came back from Portugal, so he wanted to travel back. He had some businesses He did. He came back. He wanted to open an account. They want to push money down. He said a whole lot of things, and then brought out documents. That very day, I had someone, a relation of mine, someone who is from my, call him his late Dr. Mayor Kano.
Okay.
He owns Mayor Healthcare in Lagos.
Okay.
So he was around. He came for a consultancy, medical consultancy, and then he came to see me. So there, he met my friend, and he brought out all these documents and everything to show him about a kind of seeking support for us he wants to travel back. So he first sold some of his properties to this my relation, this Dr. Mayor of a person, around 450,000. That was the first money he gave him. Not necessarily that he need those things, just he needed to help the guy and all that. So from that, he now resulted into, he promised me a whole lot of things, So he resulted into me giving him money.
Okay.
And that was where, that was the predicament, that was the issue that, started for me.
Okay.
So, and I remember before then, sometimes I'll buy things and then I'll find them missing in the house. So I didn't know what was going on. I started going to native doctors to find out, because I was taught, we call it Afa Eba Afa. Okay. When things are going wrong, you go to a native consult. And I wanted to go and consult to know what's going on and all that. I remember I had a keke. The guy that was driving the keke, who carry passengers and getting to where we call the school gates, he will have passengers, approaching where he's meant to collect money from them. The keke will stop on the way. So the one that happened one day, so the guy came back because he was living in my street. So he came back, he was eating a particular restaurant where we go to eat. So he was eating there. So I came and asked him, I said, where is my keke? He was like that. The keke stopped on the main road. And then he discharged the passengers. And I was like, and you left my keke there? And I said, let's go. So when we got there, because I had an understanding that what was happening, I just had
not ordinary.
So I touched the keke and then, started the keke. It started. So to me, it's what gave me that. I could have, tried to do another thing, but I just touched it. I started the keke, so brought it back. No, it wasn't up to a week. The guy had an accident with that keke. The glass pulled out. So I ended up selling the keke, to a very low price. And then my barbing salon, I started it newly and it wasn't booming and all that. At a point, they have to send a barber for me from Abuja. A guy called Ability. He came from Abuja. He was working for me, a very wonderful guy. The shop started growing and all that, and in the evening, the whole place would be filled with people and all that. So, and then they gave us quick notice that they want to renovate. They want to build a duplex, an upstairs there. So they asked everybody that was there to live, so that was affecting my finances. And at this point, I've already started giving my friend money, and it was affecting the money I was using, to do business and all that. So things started going bad. I was helping my friend and my business. At a point, I didn't have money to renew the shop rent. I have to move everything to the village. The shop thing, the barbering salon thing, and that I have to move it to the village. So my friend led me into things that was happening. I was giving him money. It runs into millions of naira. I was selling some things, and so I now discovered, at the end of the day, I discovered that he was lying to me. He was actually traveled. He wasn't, but the thing he was telling me that he went was not. He actually traveled, but I discovered, today he has not paid me the money. So, but that experience led me into, because I thought that those spirits, I had, then I'll go to where I'll go, they will tell me that is Awo. They tell me about Awo, that is the spirit, the shrine that is interested in me and all that. So, growing up, I will hear people say I have a call. Some people will say I have, the shrine, and so I had that. I hear it a lot. So they would tell me that it's the shrine that is interested. So I thought that what was happening to the guy is because of me. So I was looking for my problem so that he will be free, because I thought it's because I'm connected to him.
There's a connection,
Yeah. So that was what was happening. There is a man called Ezani in Amici.
Okay.
He's late.
Okay.
He's a very popular native doctor in Anambra State. People know him, And when this thing was happening about this guy, this my friend of a person, so I knew that. I remember going to Enugu at a particular native doctor's house. So when I came in there, they told me that they can't do anything for me.
Okay.
We bought things and all that, so they said they can't do that. When I was walking in, that there are spirit that came with me that he now mentioned Ngene, and all that. So, and then from there we now went to Anambra State. So this my uncle, my relation, the Dr. Mayor, we traveled together to Amici. So when we got there were many people, there that day. We couldn't see the man. We lodged in a hotel. So the following day, very early in the morning, we got there. We are not even the first person. There are other persons there already. So when it got to my turn, so the man was doing, he now said that I'm Isiobi. Isiobi is the head of the family.
Okay.
I'm Isiobi. He said that he's seen 3 deities on my body and a river. He's seen Ngene, he's seen Udo, he's seen Ogugu, and he's seen Iyebo. So he said that these are the things that are responsible, that they are calling me, that they are moving with me wherever I'm going.
And the pastor also said that you have a calling.
Yes.
The point of contention is that there is a calling.
A calling. So he said that wherever, so I need to give them seat. That's what they call Agbo in Igbo.
Okay.
Igbo
Cosmology
and all that. So they said I need to give them seat and then start giving them food. So they won't be following me to be destroying things, because it started from the keke, having an accident and a whole lot of things that was happening, my business and all that. So things were going bad. I had a girlfriend that was dating them, and then they would give me fasting to do. I was focused on what I was doing. I was with somebody, but I didn't know, I wasn't paying attention to her because of the things I was going through.
Yes.
So I knew that something was wrong with my life. My finances was going down and everything. So the man told me that the Udo, and this shrine, this deity was mentioning, is in my family, in my Obi. And this man is in Anambra State. So he was mentioning the Udo, Ogugu. These two Udo and Ogugu, in Obidi, there's what we call Obidike family. Obidike is the person that gave birth to our king, our family.
Okay.
Before they started,
having kindred.
No, Obidike gave birth to our family before they started having the different business. But he's our father.
Okay.
So in the Obi, this Udo and Ogugu, the shrine are there. Ngene is the one that my dad is serving. This Iyebo is in my town, is a river that is in my town at Ndakwanta. Now, the man was mentioning these things without coming to my family, without knowing anything about my family. So he said that Udo and Ogugu and Ngene and Iyebo, that they are me. So they have called me, to serve them. Okay. I'm from the water.
Just the way pastors see visions, these deities worshippers, traditional worshippers.
They call it Afa.
Okay, they also see things.
That was why I told you that miracle or vision is not peculiar to Christianity. It's not.
Okay.
So the man, told me everything and then told me what to do, that we need to go and do the Agu thing and everything. So that very day I was trying to travel back to Oka. And then my brother, my relation, the big brother, now asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm traveling back. He said, let's go and do what the man said.
Okay.
Because he knew that something was happening to me. That was why he was involved. We came back from Lagos. We traveled to Anambra and all that. So I said, okay, I didn't have money then. So he funded we went to buy goats, bought a whole lot of things, and then came back. And I told my father where we went to. This is what they told us. From there, we went to another place called a Sister Mary. A woman went to the place, and the woman was saying the same thing.
Everybody was saying the same thing.
Yeah. So we came back and we went to buy those things for those sacrifices, because the idea was for us to, for me to accept the river goddess. The Ngene Shrine is a river goddess. and then the other one Iyebo. For me to accept them by bringing sacrifices, accepting that I've now agreed to worship them, and then they will now have the shrine called Agu, for me, where I will be giving them boiling libation, giving them food, killing, goats and all that. That's being a full-fledged native doctor. It's no longer this is you now having your own shrine and all that. So when we came back, we bought all those things, and my father did all the sacrifice he did in the afternoon. Then at night, me and him and this Dr. Mayor went to the Yebo. I was carrying basket on my head, came into the river and then dropped the basket there. They gave me a ring. I was wearing a ring, and then I brought out the ring. The ring is just like you have accepted, you want to marry
from the river.
Yeah, you want to marry. You have accepted that marriage. So I brought out the ring and then threw it inside the river, and all that night. Then that was it. The following day, we came back. Then the following day, I traveled back. Now, but the shrine thing was at the back of our house.
Okay.
So the idea is during Ikeji festival, I'll come back. My father has his own in front of the house. My own was at the back. So I'll come back the same way my father will be sacrificing. I will be also sacrificing
your own
to my own deity. So whenever he's late, I'll take over from him because it's the same shrine, but I have my own Agu. So whenever he's late,
I'll start worshiping
to his own
and your own
and my own, the two and the other river and all that. So I don't know why all of them were just interested in me and all that. So these were the experiences, that led me into asking questions, and because what was happening to me was not common. I knew
something was wrong.
Some things that was happening and all that. So now when I accepted that, came back, I was asking myself, how am I going to a young guy like me?
After you accepted the wedding from the river, that was when you started seeing mermaids in your dream.
No, I was seeing that already.
Before,
yes. So I was having those are some of the experiences I was having.
Okay, when they come, when you see them, do you get scared?
No, not scared. They just want to come and have sex with you.
And disappear.
They just want to. That's what people call spiritual wife and all that. Yeah. So that's what people call spiritual wife.
So after you did those sacrifices, and did anything change for the better?
Nothing. There was a time. So when I came back to Oka, the son of this native doctor, he told me, because I later became a PA to him. Then Osita Chidoka and Chudi Ofodile, they were contesting for Anambra gubernatorial election under UPP. So I was the guy. He was a party chairman, so I was his PA. So he told me that because he was around when the dad was attending to me. So he said that I'm a strong man, and that now that I've settled the river goddess, I'm going to have money. That money is from the water and all that. So he said that, but that was what he said, but that was not my experience then. So I was asking myself, how am I going to, as a young person, I just want to do juju, but I don't want to be the one that is in charge. You are doing, I just want to be part of that, but I don't want to be a full-fledged native doctor, even if I will, not at that age. To me,
because you were young.
I was very young, so that led me into consulting pastors. I remember my Baba then gave me a number of his uncle called Pastor Ezekiel Ahamba. He's in Abuja. I contacted him just for prayer. How people call pastors prophet for prayers. Okay. I called him. So he was started giving me another prophecy. Started telling me about the call of God upon my life. Okay. I called him for a different thing. Okay. So he started telling me about that. So I moved. Okay.
You being someone that was actually born into a traditional way of worshiping, which is we are serving ancestors and deities, let me put it like that. And you started finding problems. It wasn't like these problems wasn't there before. You had a problem. You met a friend, you consulted a friend, and the friend decided to okay, I'm going to introduce you to my pastor. You being someone that is not of that line ever, what made you to like, okay, believed that
I wanted to
the
know.
pastor could be able to give you answers? Because you believed so much in your deity, you believed so much in the things you were worshiping, you had magic, you had all those things. What's now actually did the trick for you that made you to feel okay?
Because I went to a man called Ajawen in my town. He's a native doctor. So he told me that he can't be able to do anything for me.
Okay.
Now, when this thing was happening, I didn't go to my father.
Okay.
So I was just, going around and all that. So he said I should go and do sacrifices, at a gota, and all that. So I did all that, I did everything they asked me to do, and nothing was working. So if I can get answers from the other place, why not? So that was why. And the guy was actually my baba, working for me. The guy that told me about his uncle was a guy that was working for me. So he knew because I'm a very open person. So we discussed.
And you were able to be open to him and tell him your problems.
Yeah. From that, he would give me prayers to do and all that. There was one day he told me that the person that I'm looking for favor from, that in the spirit that he's seeing him on a ladder, down holding a ladder, and I am up. So it means that the help is not going to come from there. Because the guy had a lot of promises, beautiful promises. So, so I was
eager.
Yeah, I just wanted things to work out. But it happens to be that the person I was looking for favor from, that was up there, and he I'm not going to get any. And that has been the case till today. So now from there I moved into another person, because to me I was thinking that I didn't believe that the guy could do anything bad to me, because of what we shared. Again, I know all his family, I know his father's house and everything, his wife. Sometimes his wife will call, I will send her money. I was given another number, another pastor in Port Harcourt, Pastor Prince Uche Roger. So we started discussing. He started telling me about the call of God upon my life again. So he said these are people who, they don't know me. So he said in the spirit that he's seen that God wants to wear me a boot.
Okay.
He talked about Gideon. He said, in my father's house there are thorns. He said, oh, and God wants to wear you a boot so that you can be able to destroy those thorns. So when he was saying all these things, and he said, I hear in my spirit that God is saying that you're a prophet, you're a leader, that God has called. He said, watch your dream out, sir. Nothing ever happens around you without you knowing about it. He was telling me, and he was just telling me, I thought these are normal things, because I knew what he was talking about, revelatory gift and all that. So I was thinking that it's just a normal gift and all that. And then, because my father, there are pastors who come to my father. So for me to easily believe pastors,
it was difficult.
Because they come. I have a lot of pastors who come to my father for jazz. That's why when I see some of the things that they are doing, all these charlatans, some of the things that they are doing, it breaks my heart. Because they are never concerned about the masses or about the sheep. Their own concern is how to exploit the sheep for their own benefit. They just want to be successful. So because there are pastors who come to my father, there are sometimes he will tell me to call pastor so person, for him and all that. So, and seeing vision is something that, they can practically do that for you. You can use the spirit of divination to see visions. Yeah. So, I was talking to somebody one time. I said, miracle is not exclusive to Christianity. Mm-hmm. So you can, for the fact that you are demonstrating power, you are seeing vision, does not mean that you are at peace with God. So because of the experience I had growing up, I knew that for me to trust a pastor, it's very hard. So then I was trying to be, but there are some certain things they started saying, I knew that this one has to be divine.
Okay.
They are revealing a whole lot. Okay. There was a time I was to be initiated into Ogboni confraternity. And that was because of what I was experiencing. I was looking for answers. When it has to do with the devil, he never gives you anything for free. So there has to be something that is attached to it. It's like stopping of rain. I saw my dad, doing stopping rain and making rain fall. I just started doing it myself, and
without anybody teaching you.
Yeah, I just see him doing that. I started doing it. Sometimes he will now leave the job for me. People didn't even know that I'm the one doing that for him, Then, but I got to know that there are some rain that you want to stop, and it happens to be that there is another person or there are a group of persons that wants the rain to fall.
Okay.
And then that
kind
involves
of conflict of interest.
Yeah, that involves spirituality, and for you to stand on your ground that you don't want this to happen. My dad told me sometime that when he started having children, he started reducing his hand in some of the things that he do.
Okay.
Because some of them might demand
sacrifice,
or not that you are going to serve. Some they will just take your child. Something will happen. So I already knew that devil doesn't give you anything for free. So because of that bony confraternity, I didn't go into that.
So as then, like, you could draw rain.
Yes, of course. You see,
can you still do that?
Of course, the rain thing. But right now, I have a different approach to that. The Bible says Jesus, talking about Jesus, he said even in the wind, and they obey him. Yeah. So the nature, when God was talking to, he said, "This is my beloved son, hear ye him." He wasn't just talking to the people that were there, he was also talking to nature. So as a divine man on earth, the nature is subject to you. All right. So that stopping of rain and making rain fall is I call it African science, because it involves with nature.
So it's not magic. It's not black magic.
It's African science. There are some level of spirituality in it, and that has to do with the deity, like the Ngene. Ngene is water spirit, So there are different ways. I remember when I was in primary school, I had some of my classmates, we came home. They came to my house we were gisting from school to the house, and they wanted to from the house, and they started going and all that. But I didn't want them to go. So what I did, I went to the backyard and made rain to fall. And they were there till, we were gisting. It was me that did that. So how did I do it? In our house, there's what we call a day. It has to do with different leaves. You go to the bush, you get these leaves, and then you cut it, or you blend it, or however, and then you put it inside a water with stone. Some of those stones, you see them maybe in the house, you have them buried on the ground and all that. So you carry the stone and put it inside that water, you cover it. The thing will ferment and all that. So once you open it and you turn it, the sky will change. So this is something that it's not rocket science. It's something that I did for several years, and every time you do it, the result is not something that you are doing trial and error. No, you do it
and it works.
It works. There was a particular man in my town. He was doing a burial, so he went outside to call people, rainmakers and all that. So they came to the town and they were bragging that rain is not going to fall and all that. My dad actually asked me to prepare. I was the one that prepared the thing for drawing that rain for this thing.
And it rained.
Heavily. From that night to the next morning, they came to our house. In less than 30 minutes, we just went back to the backyard, covered the thing and washed that stone, and the rain stopped. So this is, to me, this is African science, and me, I just saw him do that. I saw him start, and I started doing my own. And then stopping of rain from falling, it has to do with, stone. And there are some ones you do with incense, with salt and all those things. But I was just doing it. For me, I didn't see any spirituality that was attached to it.
You just thought it's African science.
And I was doing it and it was working. I saw him doing that and I started doing my own, and it was working for me. So that was it. I didn't want to be a native doctor then, or even if I want to, not at that age. I was very young. You know, a guy that has a promising future and all that, and then you are coming to, you know, and I understand how it works. You have to still
making sacrifices
and all that. So I was not ready to commit to that. To me, I was still a young guy still, because there are some things you are meant to, you know, abstain from, you know.
Yeah.
So I wasn't seeing my life in that direction then, you know. So I remember when the guy, the son to the native doctor, Ezani, was telling me about, he said that the spirit, the Mamed spirit, they are the people that owns money and all that. So that now that I've settled them, and then that money will be coming and all that. But I was restless after doing that. I wasn't happy with myself.
Why are you restless?
The thoughts of those pastors, the thoughts of them telling me about the call of God upon my life kept coming back. So
it was as if you're restless in your spirit.
Yeah.
It's as if maybe those words, they actually sowed a seed in your heart.
Yeah. So when I finished this whole thing, it's like, you know, at a point I left what they were saying. I didn't. So I started this with this. So, but I couldn't continue. I couldn't, you know. So I was.
I guess you couldn't continue because you're not seeing any positive change.
Not really that, because this didn't, you know, we are talking about a period of 1 or 2 months.
Okay.
So I assuming that I practiced it for 1 year, 2 years, it's now a different thing. But after that period, I came back. I didn't stay in that path for a long period. That was when I repented. My dad didn't know, because when I came home, he was telling me that I need to give him money to buy this thing, so that even if I'm not around, he will give them food. He was telling me. So he thought I was still, because it was a short period of time. So I think after accepting that few months, I gave my life to Christ. And then they started telling me about the call of God upon my life, you know, and then it was very serious. So, and this is something that I've already known before now, you know, and there are some supernatural things that happen around
based
me.
on your birth, everything around you.
And there are some supernatural things that happen around me. I think that maybe I will feel that it's because of the negative supernatural. So I didn't know that it was the hand of God.
Okay, you later became a Christian.
Yeah, of course.
Can you tell us how that started?
I called those pastors back, okay. And then I told Pastor Prince. I said I'm ready to. I want to know. I asked him. I said, remind me what you said about the call of God upon my life again. You know, he narrated the whole thing to me again. He told me about the revelation and all that. So, and he gave me prayer. So he gave me fasting to do for 1 week. So that fasting was a kind of, for me, it was when I started doing the fast that I started seeing the dimension of God. So I started fasting. At night, I'll leave my house and go to a particular uncompleted building, and then I'll pray through the night. Maybe I'll start from 10, I'll pray till 2, and then I'll come back to my house. So, and this time this thing was happening. I had a girlfriend, and she was actually living in my house. You know,
you're living together.
Yeah, she left her house and moved into my house. So we're actually living together. But she didn't. I wasn't giving her the attention. You know, we are just like, sometimes I'll leave her. I had a shop, a barbering salon shop.
Yeah,
so sometimes, so sometimes I'll leave her and then go to the shop and sleep there and leave her in the house. Because of those things, I wasn't myself, and she didn't know what was going on with me, what was happening with me and all that. So that period I started doing fasting. That was how, you know, my Baba told me of a particular lady called Eukarya, how a man, she complained to my Baba that, you know, she normally have visitation of a man coming into her room, you know, to sleep with her. She will leave the house and go to a place called Thameside to stay with her friends. Sometimes she will go to the village. So she couldn't stay alone in the house because of that experience.
Okay.
So she finished narrating the matter today. The guy my Baba was telling me, I said, bring the girl. I just started doing fasting, prayer. I will read all this prayer.
Was that
book.
the first time you fasted? Because it seems that when you were still worshipping the deity, did you guys fast as when you worship
it's not really the type of fast
that Christians do.
For example, when we do festival, there are sometimes I will say I don't want to eat food that has oil in it.
Okay.
I don't want to. There are some things I will abstain from.
Is it just you personally, or it's part of
I do that.
the tradition of worshiping?
No. It's something I think I sometimes I see my father do that.
Okay.
So I just there are
so
sometimes
there's a fasting. People that worship deities or having this traditional worshippers also fast and they also pray, but not like Christians.
Yeah, I can't actually call it fasting because if you are fasting, you are not supposed to eat. But this one is that they will tell you don't eat what has oil in it.
Okay.
Maybe you want to eat yam, you will just eat yam
without the oil. Okay.
So you are not. It's just that you are abstaining from those comforts, those things that that will make you.
Okay, we call it abstinence, not
abstinence.
Fasting.
You abstain. So they can tell you that this period of time you don't sleep with a woman.
Okay.
You don't. So you are just abstaining from some things. So it's not really.
Things. So that you can get that spiritual.
So I told my Baba to bring the girl, that I would like to see her. So he was asking me. He said, "You are not a pastor." My Baba was telling me, "You are not a pastor." I said, "I would like to pray for her." So he was afraid. The guy, because I told him, I said, we are going to that you are going to bring her to the place where I normally go to pray at night. And then the guy was like, "No, he's not coming. What if the spirit from the girl leaves her and possesses us?" So I was like, "No, you don't have to be afraid." So I convinced him. So that night he spoke to the girl and everything. So they got the girl accepted to come. So I got there around 10. I started praying 1 hour before they got there around 11. So I told the guy, I said, when you come, you should be singing. And the girl, so they should be singing. So me, I was just one place facing the window while I was reading the prayer book. So immediately I turned, the people that came for the prayer, the girl and the guy, immediately I turned and I was walking towards them. The girl fell on the ground, started rolling on the ground.
Without you touching her,
I didn't
or
touch her.
Even saying anything.
I was just coming, it was the energy that was coming, to her. That was my first time experiencing such thing. So she fell on the ground and she started rolling. I remember there was a particular church, Anglican church, I went for a night vigil thing one time. So I saw them, they were praying and they touched the ground. And people started falling. So I did the same thing. I touched the ground and the girl fell again. So my own is that I observe and I do. And I see the same results. I don't know. So I touched the ground, the girl fell on the ground. She stand all her body that very night. So now when we finished, I prayed for her and all that. So I told her that will not happen again. So the guy that came there with me was surprised because he has never seen me in this kind of, Then the following day, I went to the girl's house. Normally I prayed for her, 4 corners of her house. That was the knowledge I had then. Yeah. So now I'm not going to be doing that. So I prayed for her the 4 corners of her house, and prayed for her and all that. So she told me that she normally hear a bird sound at her tank, the tank that is outside her, then that thing will happen. So I prayed with her and all that. So the second thing that happened was, I have a neighbor, her name is Azomta. She was having tuberculosis. So that very day, she went to Anambra State Teaching Hospital at Aroma. So she came back, she has gone to pharmacist and all that. At night, she can't sleep because of that cough. It was disturbing her and everything. So I heard that too. So I said, get me pure water. Okay. That I'm going to pray and you're going to get healed. So I said, I'm going to pray for you this night.
Okay, sorry. I want to ask a question. you've never been a Christian before.
I was not born again.
You were not born again, and you started fasting because
a pastor they gave me an assignment. Yeah.
Did he actually teach you how to pray or teach you these things you actually?
I was reading a prayer book.
Okay, those things were written.
I was just written
on the prayer book as well.
Yes, no, the prayer is just prayers.
Okay.
So I would just read the prayer book and then pray. It's like I was just following the manual.
Okay, the
prayer
manual on
book.
how to pray. Yeah. Then the one you touched your finger on the ground was because you saw from an Anglican church where some of those ministers were putting their hands on the ground. Then the other one is you decided to use pure water.
Yes.
You saw it somewhere else again.
No. I think I had that understanding that if I pray
on something, it will
heal her. So I just needed to give her. Growing up, there are a lot of things. At least even if you are not a Christian, you hear some certain things. Jesus did this. Yeah. He spat on the ground. He spat on the ground to heal somebody and all that. So I prayed on that water and then I gave her. So I also gave her scripture
to read
from that prayer book. So I gave her a prayer to pray. I said I'll be praying for you this night because every night I will go out to pray. So that night she didn't have that disturbance that night. The following day, because that pure water was I prayed on that water that night I was praying. It was in the morning that I gave her that pure water. So but at night I gave her an assignment. I said she should go and read this and pray. And then I will be praying for her. Then in the morning I will pray on this pure water. I will bring it to her. So in the morning I gave her the pure water. That was the end of that tuberculosis. So that was the second time I was seeing miracle, apart from the girl, that they call that one is the demonstration of power or whatever. So the girl, the miracle. The third one that happened was a place, a woman called Precious in Abakaliki. So we connected on Facebook, So I had a friend of mine called Peculiar Ujemeni. Okay. And the brother Precious and all that, they were eyewitness of this thing. So the woman, she had a carryover in school at Abakaliki University, according to what she told me. So that very day, she was to go to check her results. She was in her final year. Okay. That was her second degree. So she was talking about how she's going to repeat, go for extra year because of carryover and all that. So that very day, she said she wants to go and check her results. So I think maybe they have told her already about the results. So she just wants to go and check. So she told me, and I just prayed for her. I told her that good luck will follow her. So I just made a declaration, with her. And then I was sleeping. The next thing she came back, she called. I got my phone was ringing. I picked it. She was shouting on the phone. She said she has an A. So she was telling, she was embarrassed at the department, according to what she said. So she was telling them that this is not her result. So they didn't understand what she was talking about. So when she now called me, she now said something. She said, if you have a call of God on your life, you need to pay attention to it. She said that to me. He said, if you have a call of God on your life, you need to pay attention to it. So that thing she said, touched me. So I started getting more serious with that prayer. So when I finished the one week fasting and prayer they gave me, I started another one on my own. So at night, then I was no longer, I've moved to a place called Commissioner's Quarters. At night, I'll go to the field, I'll be praying and all that. So sometimes I had people like Israel, I had, people like this Peculiar Ojemeni and all that. So we'll go out at night, we'll be praying. Sometimes I'll go alone. That was how things were getting, serious. I started having some experiences. After prayers, I will start having some revelations. That was how I went to the kitchen, Peculiar's kitchen. That was where I saw Kenneth Hagin's book.
Okay.
The first book I saw was Believer's Authority, the little one, the small one, the Believer's Authority. So I read that book. When I finished that book, I called Peculiar. I said, this thing that is in this book, is it true? Because there were some truths that some things that he said yes. The second book I read was How to Be Led by the Holy Spirit by Kenneth E. Hagin. So that was from there, I started studying scriptures. I no longer go out. In the morning, I would just sit at home. I would study the Bible. And because of what I saw in the book, I wanted to discover. I wanted to know more and all. I was curious. So I started studying the Bible. I would study from morning till evening. Then in the evening, I would go out and start teaching people Bible. Like friends, guys, I would just stay, we just be talking about Bible. I would start educating them, enlightening them. And that was how
you were gradually
dropping, yeah. So So the day I now saw in the scripture that I was reading the book of Romans, where the scripture was talking about confessing with your mouth the Lord Jesus and all that. So, and I saw at the back of Kenneth Hagin book and all that, so with other materials that I read and all that. So I officially, gave my life to Christ. From there, I read a book talking about getting baptized in the Holy Ghost and all that. That was how I said, Jesus, you are the baptizer. From what I saw in the scriptures, if you are the baptizer, baptize me. That was how I started speaking in tongues in the room. So this thing was happening within me. I had an encounter. I started having visions, revelations, some things that was happening to me. So this was what was happening within me. Nobody knew what was happening. So I was gradually growing, for a period of time. I wasn't going out. I would just stay at home. I was studying, and all that.